I think I'm a pretty positive person for the most part, and I'm having a hard time with everyday occurrences with people just getting on my nerves, and that's it's just like the simplest thing, like just driving down a street, excited about the day. I wake up like that every day. I wake up real positive. And I'll give you an example of what happened, and I just want to try and understand how to handle each situation. So I'm coming up to a stop sign. A truck just beats me to the stop sign. Obviously, it has the right of way. Let it go. Then I'm getting ready to take my turn. This lady just comes right through a stop sign, beats me, and I'm almost hitting her. And she's yelling, rolling down the window, yelling at me, cursing, and I'm trying to remain calm because my wife is, just stay calm in those situations. And I get behind her and I'm just listening to music. I'm listening to Abraham. And that's true, actually. I'm actually listening to Abraham. And so she's rolling down her window, turning back at me, and still cursing. I'm thinking to myself, this lady's wild. She's clearly in the wrong. And so she continues to do it, and then I've got my hand on my steering wheel, and I stiffen out my middle finger. Finally, I'm just like, I can't take it anymore. So I'm thinking about what you're saying about go to like revenge, and then I'm trying to inch my. So I tell my wife about the story. She's like, you can't be that way. You can't stoop to their level. You got to be. So I'm trying to find the Abraham approach on that.
Well, if you really are feeling good when something like that happens, and you feel like you need to take revenge as a knee-jerk response to what they have done, right, then you were really not feeling as good as you thought you were feeling. That's the most significant thing that we want to say to you. We notice that sometimes when people are inconsiderate in traffic, and you are on a sort of raw and ragged edge yourself, that their inconsideration just sort of explodes in you, where if you really are tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and someone is inconsiderate, you almost find humor in it, or you have more leeway. It's like having shock absorbers that help you to absorb the shock, so to speak. And the more truly in alignment you are, then the better you feel. Now, we agree with you. We can feel you on the whole, not only trying to be a positive person, but being a positive person. In other words, we can feel that. But when something gets your goat like that again and again, it usually means that there is something activated within you that you have not yet resolved, that these incidences are just inflaming. And if you could take each opportunity of feeling that inflammation and deliberately sort of force guide yourself into the feeling that feels better, you would begin to feel relief, and the frequency of those things would not be so much. It's never a case of who's right or who's wrong. In other words, everyone thinks they're right. That's the problem with those sorts of incidences. Everyone thinks they're right. So the question isn't who had the right of way. The question is who's most in alignment with their source, and who has the best shock absorbers, and whose life is really going the best most of the time. And what happens is, for someone like you want things to go well, and you take pride in being a deliberate creator, and you intend for things to go well. And when things don't go well, you're taking it all too personally.
Didn't I create her into my reality, though?
Absolutely.
So, that's what I'm trying to understand also, that, I'm very positive. The occupation I do, I have to stay positive. And I'm trying to figure out how I brought her into my reality.
Well, you bring her there by wanting her not to be there. You bring her there by shouting no at her. You bring her there by having a response to her being there. In other words, when someone like that is in your face, and clearly they're wrong, in other words, you're not making that up in terms of the rightness or the wrongness of who got to the intersection first, but as you give somebody the benefit of the doubt and you acknowledge that they weren't paying attention and they don't know whose turn it was, and they may be in a hurry and you don't know what's going on in their life, and your life is going very well, and whether you wait for a minute or not doesn't matter, and what she thinks of you really is none of your business, and the way that she feels as she's gesturing like that is really an indication of the way her life is going, but the way you gesture back is really an indication of the way your life is going. So we don't want you to find some form of restraint to keep from doing the thing you feel like doing. We want you to change the thing that you feel like doing. We want you to be so in vibrational alignment with who you are that you've got the reserve to just always give them the benefit of the doubt. There is this inclination to want to be the one who's right because you work hard, you're smart, you work hard at being logical, you do your best at being fair, you play by the rules of the game in the world that you live in, and you expect other people to do the same thing. And what's hard to remember is that they're all playing a different game and they're all playing by different rules, and the only rule that really applies to you, the only one that you have any consistency over, is this alignment between you and you. And that's what gets your goat. In other words, what is bothering you more than anything, and we heard it actually came out of you in very clear terminology just now, is not that somebody's taking their turn out of turn. What's bothering you is your response to their response. So your question is a wonderful question. How can I keep myself in a place of feeling better regardless of what other people are doing? And at first, as we give you the answer to that, any of you, the answer to that, you feel a little bit like what we're telling you to do is be complacent doormats who just don't get riled up when other people are rude. And that is not our message at all. What we're saying is don't take action when you feel like that, and then do what you're doing, which is ask yourself, how can I not feel like that without needing to control their behavior? Because that's the entrapment. You couldn't, if you took that woman home with you and counseled her, you couldn't train that out of her. And not only that, she's just one of really a lot of others.
Right.
In other words, you cannot get the driving public to be smart or to be fair. You can't do it. And if it's necessary that you do that before you're happy on the road, then you better stay off the road. And that's the whole point of what you're asking. Once you say, all right, I get it, they're going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to think they're right most of the time too. So what I'm working on is my response to them, my response to their response, or my response to them. And my response to them has everything to do with my alignment with me, and hardly anything to do with what's going on with them. So then that brings us around to, you said, even listening to Abraham tapes, I really think that I'm in a good place when that happens. And we say, sometimes you are, and sometimes you're not. And the times that you're remembering that went wrong are not times that you were in alignment. We were visiting with a woman one day, and she was very clear about this. She said, Abraham, I don't get this. She said, you say that when we're feeling good that bad things can't happen. And we say, well, it's not exactly what we're saying. We're saying that you're always offering a vibration, and that the vibrations that you are offering are your leaning toward the things that are going to manifest. In other words, you're tilting that way, you're tilting that way, you're tilting that way, that way, that way, that way. And the leanings are culminating eventually into something that will manifest. And the things that manifest don't just come out of the blue. And this is the real answer you're looking for. Nor can you correlate only what you're thinking and feeling right now this minute with what's manifesting, because it's not just what you're thinking and feeling right here this minute that's causing this manifestation this minute, although it does have something to do with the way what manifests is leaning. In other words, this moment is always the straw that tipped it this way or tipped it that way. So this woman said, I'm driving, I'm feeling really very good, I'm listening to an Abraham tape, she said, and I get pulled over and I'm given a ticket for not wearing my seatbelt. How can this be? And she really emphasized how good she thought she was feeling, and we believed her. In other words, she was listening to something that was making her feel good. And so then, as we visited with her a little more, we said, well, what do you think about seatbelts? Well, she was very strong in her feeling about that. I think it's wrong that there is a law that says we have to do that. I don't think it's anybody's business whether I choose to go through the windshield or not. I'm a safe driver, and I think that I should get to choose these things. She had very strong feelings about that. And then we said, and what else? Well, she had issues with policemen. She had issues with law enforcement. In other words, there were all kinds of things that, not in that moment, but that she had been offering vibration about. So she was ready to peak. In other words, she was there in vibrational compliance with what was about to happen. And even though she was listening to happy music. Now, remember that deliberate creation, or creating your own reality, is really about being a vibrational match to other things that are a vibrational match to you. So here's a policeman whose assignment that day is to go out and generate revenue by finding people who don't have their seatbelts on. And there are a lot of people who don't have their seatbelts on. Far too many for him to see, for him to notice, for him to track down, for him to stop, and for him to ticket. But if there is someone who is not wearing their seatbelt, who is deliberately not wearing their seatbelt, who didn't wear it today and doesn't wear it every day, and instead of buckling up and being resentful, doesn't buckle up and is still resentful, that person is sending out a sort of beacon that says, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. And so law of attraction just put them together, you see. And so that's how somebody like that ends up in your life. The more annoyed you feel because of the injustice of it that you feel, then the more it remains active in your vibration, so that she's not picking you. It's law of attraction that's putting you all together, you see. And the fact that you don't get them all the time or every time means that it's not a very active thing in your vibration, but you can get to the place where you're so in vibrational sync with who you are on that issue that it will rarely, if ever, come up. And when it comes up, you can just assume that it's the attraction of someone else in your car. We have enjoyed this interaction beyond reason. It is delicious to come together with those like you who are insisting on understanding how it is that you are the creator of your own reality, who are willing to sit with us hour after hour and listen to us tell you the same thing over and over again in your quest for alignment with who you are. Today we have taken thought beyond that which it has been before, and you are changed beings for having participated here with us. You have activated the guidance system within you. You will never again fork off in opposition to something that you are wanting without being more keenly aware of it. You now have more hands-on awareness of how to be the creator of your own experience. You have accomplished conscious awareness of being extensions of source energy. We felt that take place with you here today. And we want to say to you, in a way that you can hear it, that you are the leading edge of that which we are. And your willingness to explore contrast summons that which we are forward through you. And as you summon us forward through you, as you are asking, we rejoin source energy from which you have come, and the circle has been completed. You came forth into physical. You experienced contrast which caused you to ask. We agreed with what you asked for. Now, your work is to bring yourself into vibrational alignment here and now, right here, this moment, where all of your power is, into alignment with what you're asking for. Which means if the thought feels pretty good, you're lined up. If it doesn't feel so good, you're not. We want to tease you a little bit, lovingly, openly, bluntly. How'd you get off track that if it feels good, it must be bad? If it feels good, it is. If it feels good, it is closer to who you really are. If it feels good, you are closing that gap. And if it feels not so good, you are widening that gap. Align your energy. Do the only thing that you can do. Bring yourself into vibrational alignment with the whole that you have become. And live happily ever after. There is great love here for you. We are complete.